When marriage loses purpose, it can feel like bondage. Just like work, marriage was never designed to be meaningless labor. But when a husband loses sight of the purpose, the very thing meant to bring life can start to feel like a burden. That's not because marriage is flawed. It's because the why has been forgotten. The parallel: work and marriage. Ecclesiastes shows us this pattern. Work without God leads to emptiness. Effort without purpose leads to frustration. Responsibility without meaning leads to bondage. The same thing happens in marriage. When a husband doesn't understand God's design for marriage, doesn't see his role as a calling, doesn't understand the mission he's been given, or views marriage primarily as sacrifice without purpose, marriage stops feeling like a gift and starts feeling like a weight. Why some husbands experience marriage as bondage. Many husbands don't say this out loud, but they feel it. I can't do what I want anymore. I'm always wrong. I'm always giving. I'm always sacrificing. I feel trapped. Nothing I do is enough. What's really happening isn't rebellion, it's misalignment. They're working hard, but they don't understand why. And just like Solomon said, all toil under the sun is vanity. Marriage without God's purpose becomes toil, not mission. The missing piece: mission. Here's the turning point. Marriage becomes bondage when it's viewed as obligation instead of mission. God never told husbands, "Endure your wife." He said, "Love your wife, as Christ loved the church and gave himself up for her." Ephesians 5:25. That's not bondage language. That's mission language. What is the husband's mission? The mission is not to be controlled, to lose identity, to suppress emotions, to be silent, to disappear. The mission is to do God's will, to image Christ, to love sacrificially, with purpose, to lead spiritually, to lay down self in obedience, not resentment, to build, protect, and nourish. Christ didn't see the cross as bondage. He saw it as obedience to the Father. Not my will, but yours be done. That's the key. Why love feels heavy without God. If a husband tries to love his wife in his own strength, without God's purpose, without God's power, without God's perspective, then yes, it will feel like bondage. Because sacrificial love was never meant to be done without God. Trying to love like Christ without Christ will exhaust a man. The shift that changes everything. Here's the shift husbands need to see. I'm not loving my wife to lose myself. I'm loving my wife to obey God. When the focus shifts from, what am I losing, to, who am I obeying? Everything changes. Marriage stops being a prison and becomes a platform for obedience, a place of sanctification, a mission field, a calling. Marriage is not the bondage. Misunderstood purpose is. Work without purpose becomes bondage. Marriage without mission becomes resentment. But when a husband understands why God designed marriage, who he is answering to, what God is forming in him, and how obedience shapes eternity, then even sacrifice becomes meaningful. Not easy, but meaningful. A strong truth for husbands. Marriage didn't enslave you. Misunderstanding your mission did. If marriage feels like bondage, it's not because God's design is wrong. It's because the purpose has been lost. So here is the call, husband. Step back into your mission. You are not called to endure marriage. You are called to obey God within it. Your mission is not to protect your comfort or to measure what you're losing. Your mission is to do the will of God for your life. And God has made that will clear. Love your wife as Christ loved the church and gave himself up for her. That is not bondage. That is obedience with purpose. When you live as a man on mission, marriage stops feeling like a weight and becomes the place where God shapes you. matures you, and uses you.